And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. The stars of Creed 3 are facing off in an epic boxing match on the big screen. But in real life, actor Michael B. Jordan and Jonathan Majors are great friends in real life. In this recent photo shoot, the actors can be seen playing nice and even embracing one another. The pictures have been creating a lot of silly speculation, if you ask me, about their sexuality or if these images are harmful to black men. My next guest join me now here on The Factor Uncensored to talk about it. Jay Bradley, Alexander Ansari, and Josh St. Julian. Glad to have you all here on The Factor Uncensored. First of all, I almost felt embarrassed to call you guys about this, but when you see an issue or the uproar on social media about certain people saying, oh, they must be gay because they are touching each other in a simple photo. Your thoughts about this, Jay?
Man, I feel like men for the longest time we've been taught to be stoic. Don't have emotions, you know, and back in the day, it was just a dap like this or what's up, bruh, something like that.
Right.
If I say, how you doing, you'd be like, I'm all right. You could be struggling. I love that. You could be about to die tomorrow, like, I'm all right, I'm all right, I'm breathing, you know. So when I see brothers doing this, man, and they're embracing each other and showing each other authentic love, I love it, man. I love it.
Alexander, your thoughts on this photo and the controversy that it's causing, and what do you think about the people whose mind came up with this controversy?
Yeah, that photo is all about support and camaraderie for a fellow brother. That's all it is. And the fact that they're friends, they're close, that's incredible. That's a beautiful thing. And the fact that individuals are trying to point this out and change the narrative and change the context of what this photo is, it's all about just trying to drive a different narrative and market it a different way so that they can position themselves to say that this is something that it's not. Me, personally, as a black man, when I see another black man in a room like these two brothers here, hey, a hug, an embrace, a handshake.
Good to see you.
Yeah, that's right. See, no problems there, man. No problems there. That's what we do.
Right.
It's a connection. You know, I travel around the world for work. I have that fortunate privilege. And when I see a brother in Germany, in France, in Japan, in Korea, it doesn't matter. There's that connection. We know each other. We know that common struggle. And it's all about supporting each other and that camaraderie that we have.
And John, do you think this is a case for many on social media where they won't allow certain black men to have emotions and to have this kind of camaraderie that we see in these photos?
Well, I mean, you know, that's an ongoing old stigma. And I think nowadays it's a great thing that black men can express and show love and appreciation for each other in a very respectful way that doesn't feel uncomfortable. I have 3 brothers. I grew up hugging and showing love. All my friends, business partners, close friends, we show love to each other with an appropriate hug. It's okay.
Do you think, Jay, this is a reflection on the problem that maybe society or some in society and on social media may have, or are they just trying to start a controversy and they know better?
I think it's healthy for men to be able to emote to each other. Like if a female friends of mine, if they go through something, they've got 3 or 4 different group chats of support with other women.
Yeah.
Men, we'll just go through it. And then at the end of the day, your mental health suffers and how you show up for other things. So I really think they're just blowing this out of proportion. I've got brothers that, one of my guys called me the other day. He says, man, AJ, Brad, I just hit you up. Just want to tell you I love you. I was like, I love you too, bro. All right, gotta go, click. That's healthy, man. There's nothing, you know, he still likes women, I still like women, man, we're boys, you know. We just had to have a beer next time we saw each other, you know what I mean? No martinis. No, pinky's down, you know. But I think this whole thing that men have to be a certain way and they can't emote to each other, man. I want us to live to see 99, you know.
And Alexander, where do you think this is coming from, though? Is this a lack of education, a lack of maturity by some on social media?
Lack of maturity, and to your point, it's a stigma. It's just this idea that men have to be this masculine, always never showing emotion, stoic individuals. I'll tell you that these opportunities allow us to connect with people at a whole different level. I had this incredible moment with a stranger in Arkansas. I walked into this hotel in a really small town, and he just broke down. He started crying. I said, are you okay, brother? What's going on?
Was it because you were just in Arkansas? Country ass town. What happened to me at?
And he told me he had been in this town for a week for work, and he hadn't seen another brother. And he said, I'm just so glad to see another brother. I'm just so glad to see you. And he just gave me a hug. That's perfectly fine, to have that connection, to know that we're here to support one another. That's what it's all about.
Where were his hands? Were they above the waist?
They were up. Okay, all right. They were absolutely up.
And John, do you think that we are under pressure from others' perspective and how they feel we should behave?
Yes, of course. I think there's constantly an aggressive approach against the black male in our culture. It's going to be an ongoing thing. It happens across various topics. You see it in fashion, you see it in lifestyle, you see it in family, like any topic. I think that black men are approached in a much more aggressive way about any topic, and it's in a method sometimes to break down our spirit.
All right. We thank you, gentlemen, for joining us here on this very intriguing topic. Still
Jonathan Majors features on the front cover of Ebony magazine, rocking pink, fluffy sweater, like an overthrow type thing. You guys see it there in the photo. These kind of boots, look like may have a heel there at first glance. Feminine posture with the duck face. This is obviously, let's just cut to the chase. This is a very, very, very feminine pose. I didn't really know much about Jonathan Majors. I mean, I'd seen him in movies, but I'd never been interested in who he is until recently. In fact, I saw Creed 3 last night, and as soon as he appeared on screen, I thought, man, I can't get that image of him with the feminine pose and the fluffy overthrow, pink shit on his shoulders. Not that men shouldn't wear pink, right? Don't go extreme on me. We can have a normal conversation, my people. I'm talking about the body language, the feminine pose, and the photo that Ebony magazine of all magazines decided to portray this black man as. I thought to myself, this is gonna get in the way of how I want to view this character who is portraying on screen, because he's a villain in the movie. Luckily for the audience, this man's a phenomenal actor. I mean, he is good. He's good, man. I always keep it real. The man can act. I would say he was the star of the show. He probably carried the majority of the movie. As it went on, I bought into him, and he's good at his craft. But again, this is a topic and a discussion that I think should be had. I want to play a video here from Boyce Watkins. And one thing I want to encourage a lot of guys to do as you go through life, you have to learn how to take truth in all forms that it may come. I've disagreed with Boyce on what I mainly talk about this channel when it comes to like intersexual dynamics. You know, he's on some simp shit most of the time. When it comes to conversations about dating, relationships, what he expects from black men and what they need to do. I've got some when it comes to economics. The man knows what he's talking about. He is an expert in that field. When it comes to women, dating, we know how that goes. When it comes to those topics, Boyce Watkins, unfortunately, is a tea drinker. But that's all I want to say as far as like disagreements. Going forward, he makes a lot of good points in this video. And then at the end, I want to tie it in with the conversation I had recently with a friend of mine. No more wasting time. Let's get it.
Kind of speak on Jonathan Majors. Let's go into that. Incredible actor, on top of the world right now. You got Creed 3 coming out this Friday with what's my brother's name? Michael B. Jordan. Yeah. Got the movie Devotion out, The Harder They Fall, Lovecraft Country, Ant-Man and the Wasp just recently came out. Brother's on top of his game. But we can't help but to see, particularly in our community, how they're beginning to promote and lay out this brother. You know what I mean? You see the very controversial Ebony shoot. A lot of people had things to say about that, on both sides. Then we see the recent shoot of The Brotherly Love with him very close and intimate with his brother, Michael B. Jordan. I love his brother right here. I don't think I'd ever take a picture with him like that, but that's neither here nor there. As much as I love him, I'm not doing that shit. That's neither here nor there.
But by the way, guys, I want to say something here that may, some of you may agree or disagree. I think when it comes to photos like that, it wasn't too bad to me. A lot of black men are super careful when it comes to like the no homo thing. Honestly, I haven't seen all the rest of the other photos. I've never taken photos like that with a male friend of mine, and I wouldn't want to, but I don't think that Michael B. Jordan and Jonathan Majors are gay. I think people just throw that to black men way too casually. They find one photo of you and say, oh, he's gay. Nah, I think that's a bit too much. But can we clown it? Yeah, shit's funny. Touching heads and shit. It's weird.
I found that there's a couple of strands of the conversation. There's one strand that just says, well, it's not a big deal. It's just entertainment. Why are you being judgmental, et cetera? Now, I hear that point of view. I hear that perspective. But what I encourage people to understand is that there is no such thing as just entertainment. It's been well established for over 100 years that Hollywood has always had an agenda. It's an agenda that is not the traditional black family agenda. It leans heavily left in terms of whether it's feminism or LGBT sorts of issues, stuff like that. That's not new to us. What I think you have to understand too is that when you're black, the agenda becomes especially harsh for two reasons. Number one, black people, because we have not really had the movement in terms of focusing on wealth the way that we should, we don't own anything. So when we go to Hollywood, you don't really have a lot of stake or equity in Hollywood. They own you. It's like either do it or you out, their way or the highway. So a lot of these actors that you look up to and admire, they're just slaves. They're just high-paid slaves. They have to do what they're told or they're in trouble. So that's
Powerful
the first
point.
area where we're vulnerable. The second area where the blackness is a special target of the agenda is because the world does not want to see the black man as a man. The world has never, the black man showing up as a man who is intelligent, who is fearless, who has firm, clear values in terms of who he is, who's defining his own narrative. That is one of the scariest things in the world. The scary thing for white folks is not a gun-toting thug or whatever, or a rapper or whatever. That's kind of buffoonery. It's really the intelligent black man who says, I love my family, I'm holding it down for mine, and I can take it or leave it on whatever you're putting in front of me. I don't need you, right? So black men tend to do best in Hollywood if they either show up in a way that is either as a little boy, very immature, very childlike, or as a little girl, very feminine, or as a clown, like a comedian. You see a lot of comedians doing extremely well, just killing it. Even some of the rappers, unfortunately, are clowns because they engage in clownish, exaggerated behavior. One or two gold chains is cool. You don't need 50. One or two tattoos is cool. You don't need like 75. It's or just multicolored teeth and all this other craziness, right? So all that's like a clown suit, right? So when the black man shows up as a little boy, a little girl, or a clown, he's more likely to be successful. And I hate the idea that they've taken Jonathan Majors and presented him in that very feminine way. So people who think that we're overreacting, you just need to look around you and just realize that this is deeply connected to all the other outcomes that you're seeing in society in terms of where black men end up. We're not in the power chair. We tend to end up in the chair where we're serving other people. So it wasn't really an attack on Jonathan Majors to sort of call out that Ebony shoot or an attack on Ebony. I even know the brother who bought Ebony, and I wish I could talk to him directly. He did reach out, Bridgman, I think Junior Bridgman, I think is his name. He reached out. I just hadn't had a chance to talk to him. So I don't want him to take offense to what we said, but you got to really think about how your men are presented. Like, for example, in China, they have a law that says you can't present their men in a feminine way. You're not allowed to do that, because they understand how that image of the men affects how little boys see themselves. You already have a community where most little black boys don't even have a father in the house every day.
So listen to that. Boy said there in China, they have this law that you cannot present their boys in a feminine way. I think most black men, guys, correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section down below. Most black men, divide we see is that most black men would agree with that, right? And I've said this in one other video. Black women don't understand how conservative the average black man is. And I'm talking about the white-collared black man or the blue-collar black man, or even when we talk about men who be considered more street, whatever. All three of those men value traditional families, traditional dynamics, and would agree that a black man needs to be presented in a masculine way. Who's usually going against that? It's the women, and they have the majority of the influence, the amount of the power, and they need to be retaught. They don't have men. Most of them are single. And this goes back to, my disagreements with Boyce. It's like these are things he will not say. He will not really, he will not talk about who has the most influence in the black community. It's black women. They're the ones who are promoting this. They love Jonathan Majors because he's embracing his feminine side. That's how they view this, right? Why do we need masculine men? That's the worst thing for a modern woman today. But again, the type of things that Boyce won't call out, because a lot of the women that follow him are women who wouldn't agree with what he's talking about.
And that dysfunction has become so normalized that we think that that's okay. It's not okay. Just like it's not okay for a child to grow up without a mother. Why would you think it's okay for them to not have a father? So it's so unfortunate for Majors. I hope that he'll think about it a little more carefully instead of just blowing off the controversy, because this is very real and the agenda is real. So people are not overreacting when they're seeing the same thing that a lot of us are seeing.
Yeah, man, that's it. So on that conversation I had with a friend, we were basically talking about this cover, and he wanted to know my opinion. And my conclusion to this whole thing was, if you're somebody today who goes to, because he sent me an interview with Jonathan Majors, and I thought to myself, I hope men don't really take male celebrities in Hollywood serious, who are speaking on topics of masculinity and are in the spotlight at the top of their game. He can't tell you the truth. Well, first, to start out with, his perception is obviously being filtered through Hollywood, which is a crazy place. I live here, right? That's number one. Number two is he can't speak his truth, because if he says one thing that will offend the majority of viewers for, movies, which are women, then he gets in the way of the money. He gets in the way of viewership, and they don't want him speaking the truth. He can't speak the truth. A lot of the people that fund these movies do have an agenda. These celebrities cannot speak the truth until they are out of the movie industry. That's when you have situations like, what's the guy that Joe Rogan recently sat down with? And I'm just giving an example of somebody that was in movies, got out and started speaking the truth. That's when you have situations like Russell Brand. Russell Brand speaks out against the establishment. He speaks out against like huge corporations. And he can do that now because he's self-sustaining. Like Boy said, which he's 100% right about that, is these guys do not have any power. They're told what they can say, what they can't say. Right? And as black people, Boyce really hones this in, and he was one of the first people to help me realize this. Is like, you cannot protest and fight against an agenda, power, but then go back to it and rely on it. The leaders go back to it and rely on it for money, ask it for a job, right? We need more black entrepreneurs, businessmen. The more community makes money, the more we're able to leverage funding, support, because black people, we're consumers, right? In this country. As a whole, we're not viewed as a group of people who creates and has economic power. So you can't take what a celebrity says seriously when it comes to these topics. It could have very well may be that he didn't really have a choice when it came to this magazine. But overall, my conclusion was you can't really take celebrities seriously when it comes to topics that may offend people, because that's the last thing they will do. They do not have the ability, neither are they interested in getting a bad name, being blackballed, etc. In a lot of cases, they will pick that money over offending people, and they want to keep their job. They don't have economic leverage in Hollywood. They don't own anything. So it's like, where are they going to run to after that? They're done. Is it worth it? Are they going to get the support of the black community? No. Most of the people, most of the women would turn against them.